The morning was soft, quiet, and golden. A gentle breeze danced across the driveway, and there, sitting like a little ball of sunshine, was a fluffy puppy waiting for his tiny human friend. No one expected what would happen next. Not even the parents who stood watching from a distance, because what this toddler did melted every heart that saw it. It wasn't just cute. It was pure, wordless love, the kind of love that only children and animals understand. The puppy sat still, his fur glowing in the light, his eyes calm, deep and full of trust, and the little boy, barely able to walk steadily, moved closer, one small step at a time, wobbling, smiling, giggling. He didn't say a word. He didn't have to, because what came next spoke louder than words ever could. He leaned forward, his forehead gently touching the puppy's face, a moment so tender even time seemed to stop. No fear, no hesitation, just innocence meeting loyalty. The puppy didn't move. He just closed his eyes as if feeling a blessing. The camera clicked, catching a bond the world would soon adore. And from that moment, everything began to change. The sun had barely risen that day. Golden rays slipped through the trees. A quiet neighborhood woke to birdsong, and in that peace, something magical waited to unfold. A toddler named Liam toddled out with sleepy eyes. His tiny feet padded softly on the stone path. Behind him, his mother smiled, holding a cup of tea. She thought it would be just another calm morning, but fate had a surprise planned. On the driveway sat the family's new puppy, Bruno, fluffy, golden and curious like a small lion cub. He watched Liam approach with round, wondering eyes. The air between them seemed to shimmer with warmth. No words, no sounds. Just a moment of connection. The boy stopped right before him. He tilted his head, studying the puppy's face. Bruno blinked, his tail giving a shy wag. Then something unexplainable happened. Liam leaned forward, as if drawn by pure innocence. His tiny forehead rested against Bruno's. Silence filled the air. The puppy didn't move, didn't flinch. It was as if they both understood each other, and right then, the world felt softer. A bond was born without a single word spoken. The mother stood frozen in awe. She raised her phone, almost trembling. What she captured would later move millions, because that kiss wasn't just affection, it was magic. The toddler's breath brushed against Bruno's fur, and the puppy closed his eyes, letting it happen. It looked almost sacred, like two souls greeting. Liam giggled softly, a sound full of light. The puppy's tail wagged faster, joy bursting within him. The connection was instant, deep, and unbreakable. For a second, everything around faded. No cars, no sounds, just love in its purest form. Even the wind seemed to pause. The mother's eyes welled up. She knew this was special. How could such innocence create such emotion? She whispered, "Good boy, you found your best friend." Bruno leaned forward too, pressing closer. Two little hearts beat in quiet rhythm. The moment didn't need explanation. It was perfect. Even the sunlight seemed to shine warmer. It was more than a picture. It was a memory etched forever. And when the photo was posted online, it became a symbol of love beyond words, because sometimes miracles wear tiny shoes and they hug in silence, right before your eyes. Bruno wasn't always this calm. He had come from a rescue shelter. When they found him, he was scared, thin, and quiet. He flinched at sudden noises and hid from strangers. His past wasn't kind, but his heart still hoped. The first day at his new home, he refused food. He slept curled in a corner, trembling at every step. The family spoke softly to him, giving time and space. Then one morning, Liam crawled over to him. He didn't know about fear. He only knew love. He giggled. Reaching out his tiny hand, Bruno looked up, unsure. But curious, a child's innocence doesn't threaten, it heals. And that day, the healing began. Liam offered him a biscuit. Half-eaten and drooled on, Bruno sniffed it, then took it gently. That single bite started something new. He began to trust. Not the world, but the little boy. They spent hours together after that. Bruno followed him everywhere like a shadow. Every laugh, every stumble, Bruno was there. Slowly, fear turned to friendship. And by the time of that famous forehead kiss, Bruno had already given his heart completely. Because sometimes love doesn't need to be taught, it just needs to be felt. When the photo went online, it spread like wildfire. People couldn't believe what they saw. A toddler kissing a dog. So simple, yet so powerful. Within hours, the picture had thousands of shares. Comments flooded in from every corner of the world. Pure love, wrote one. This made me cry, said another. News outlets picked it up, calling it the kiss of kindness. Liam and Bruno unknowingly became symbols of hope. In a world often filled with cruelty, this was different. It reminded people of the goodness that still exists. The image wasn't staged, wasn't edited. It was just truth, caught in a heartbeat. Bruno's calm eyes reflected loyalty. Liam's tiny face glowed with innocence. Together, they told a story humanity had forgotten. That kindness is natural. That connection has no age, no language, and that maybe love is the simplest miracle of all. People began sharing their own stories. Dogs cuddling babies, cats watching over toddlers. The world softened for a while because sometimes all it takes is one photo to remind millions what love really looks like. And this one did exactly that. It became more than viral. It became a message, a whisper from heaven saying, "See, love still lives." Days turned into weeks and their friendship deepened. Liam learned his first word. Bruno! Every morning he searched for his fluffy friend, and every time he found him, his face lit up. Bruno too seemed to live for those little footsteps. He'd wait by the window, tail thumping softly. The moment Liam appeared, he'd bark once, gently. Their routine became sacred. Breakfast crumbs shared, naps side by side, laughter echoing through the house. Sometimes they'd just sit together in silence, no games, no toys, just presence. Bruno would rest his head on Liam's lap. Liam would stroke his fur, humming softly. Their bond needed no explanation. It wasn't friendship, it was family. Whenever Liam cried, Bruno was the first to comfort him. Whenever Bruno felt scared, Liam's touch calmed him. Two souls, connected by something invisible yet unbreakable. Their parents often said, "They understand each other." And truly, they did, because love doesn't always speak in words. Sometimes it speaks in quiet forehead kisses, and that was the language they both knew best. The seasons turned, and the bond between Liam and Bruno only grew stronger and brighter each day. They became inseparable. One small heartbeat following another through every corner of life. Bruno would guard Liam's toys, lying beside them like a soft, golden guardian of joy. Every giggle, every stumble, every sleepy nap, Bruno was right there, never apart. One winter afternoon, a heavy storm rolled in without warning, fierce and wild. The sky turned grey and thunder cracked, the kind that shakes even the bravest hearts. Liam's parents rushed inside, calling him, but in the chaos, he had wandered off. Barefoot and curious, he'd gone looking for Bruno, who was barking near the garden gate. When they found him, the sight froze their hearts. Bruno was shielding Liam from the rain. He had curled his body around the child, shivering but still standing guard. The rain poured harder, but Bruno refused to move, his fur soaked. His eyes calm, the parents cried out, running to pull them both inside to safety. When they lifted Liam, he was dry beneath the dog's warm, drenched fur. Bruno collapsed moments later, exhausted, his breath heavy but loyal till the end. That night, as the vet treated him, Liam refused to leave his side even for a moment. He placed his tiny hand on Bruno's paw, whispering softly, "It's okay, my friend." It was a scene that brought tears to everyone present. Love in its truest form. The storm may have passed, but something divine had just been proven once again. Bruno had risked his life for the boy who once kissed his forehead with innocence. The same bond that began in sunlight had now survived the storm's fury. When dawn came, Bruno opened his eyes weakly, tail thumping just once in relief. Liam laughed through his tears, hugging him tightly like never before, and from that day, everyone in town knew love is not measured by words, it's measured by how fiercely you protect the one you care for. And Bruno proved that in the rain that night, a hero with fur and a heart of gold. With fur and a heart of gold. News of Bruno's bravery spread through the small town like light after a long storm. Local reporters came to see the puppy hero who saved his tiny human friend. Liam's parents showed them the viral photo, the forehead kiss that started it all. Soon, it wasn't just a story. It was a symbol of love in its purest, simplest form. People began visiting their home, bringing treats, flowers, and gentle words of thanks. Children would stop by the gate, hoping to meet the famous pair from the photograph. Bruno would sit proudly, tail wagging, while Liam giggled and waved at everyone. Their story touched hearts far beyond the town. It spread to cities and nations. Online, thousands shared the post with tears, saying, "This is what humanity needs." Even animal shelters saw a rise in adoptions. After hearing about Bruno's story, it was as if their bond had reminded the world of something deeply forgotten, that every act of love, no matter how small, can ripple into something immense. Liam didn't understand fame. He just knew Bruno was his best friend. He'd pat Bruno's head every morning, whispering, "You're my brave boy," and Bruno, gentle as ever, would rest his paw on the child's hand in reply. Their friendship became a local legend, something people spoke about with smiles. Teachers used their story in classrooms to teach kindness and compassion. Elders said they hadn't seen such pure love in a long, long time, and while the world watched through screens, the bond stayed simple at home. No spotlight could change what they had. It was beyond attention or applause. Because true love doesn't perform, it simply exists, quietly and deeply, and in that small home, the two friends lived like souls, perfectly in sync. Every day began with a hug and ended with a soft forehead touch, the same gesture that started everything, now defined everything they became. And the world, even if just for a while, felt a little kinder because of them. One calm night, Liam sat by the window, his tiny fingers tracing stars on the glass. Bruno lay beside him, head resting on the boy's lap. breathing softly and peacefully. The moonlight painted their faces in silver, gentle and timeless like an old memory. Liam whispered stories about adventures, rockets and flying together someday. Bruno's eyes blinked slowly, as if understanding every childish dream he spoke. In that silence, something sacred existed, the language of love beyond words. The parents watched from the doorway, hearts full, realizing time was passing fast. Children grow, seasons change, but some bonds never age. They only deepen. Liam placed his hand on Bruno's head and said, "Promise you'll never leave me." The dog lifted his head slightly, pressing his nose against the boy's chest. It was his way of saying, "Never, not even when you can't see me." That night, the stars seemed brighter, as if listening to their silent promise. Love doesn't need eternity to be eternal, just truth in a single heartbeat. And in that moment, both hearts spoke, one with innocence, one with loyalty. Time would move on, but their story had already become something immortal. Parents often say love fades, but the purest kind doesn't. It transforms. It turns into strength, into lessons, into memories that never die. And this one, between a child and his dog, became a legend of its own. Because sometimes angels don't have wings. They walk on four paws instead. Bruno had entered Liam's life by chance, but he stayed by destiny, and as the night deepened, Liam drifted to sleep with Bruno still beside him. The stars watched quietly, their light touching both dreamers below. If love had a sound, it would be their steady breathing under that silent sky, and if heaven had windows, it would surely smile upon them that night. Because some promises are written not in words, but in souls. Time, as always, moved on, gentle but unstoppable like a slow river. Liam grew taller, stronger, his laughter still echoing through the same old house. Bruno grew older too, his fur greyer, his steps slower, but his eyes still warm. They had lived countless days together, from first walks to birthday, cakes. No memory existed without the other. They were each other's world. When Liam started school, Bruno waited by the gate every single day. Rain or shine, he'd sit there until the sound of little shoes returned. Neighbors smiled, saying he's still guarding his boy. And truly, he was, always watching, always waiting, never leaving his post. Even as years changed faces and seasons, their bond stayed unbroken. Liam would often say, "He's not a pet, he's my brother." And to Bruno, that boy was more than family. He was purpose itself. The world might forget viral stories, but true love never fades with time, because memories don't live online. They live inside hearts that remember. Sometimes, Liam would look at the old framed photo, the forehead kiss. He'd smile softly, realizing that moment defined his entire childhood. Bruno might have slowed down, but his spirit hadn't aged a day. He still followed Liam from room to room, tired but loyal, and on quiet evenings they'd sit together, watching sunsets like old friends, no words needed, just presence, just shared peace. Even as Bruno's eyes dimmed, Liam's love shone brighter. Because some friendships are not meant to end, they're meant to guide forever. And deep down, Liam knew every heartbeat beside him was a blessing. The boy who once gave a kiss now gave gratitude, for a lifetime of love returned. And that love, even in silence, spoke louder than any words ever could. Love needs no language, no age, no promise. It speaks through hearts that feel. True friendship isn't measured by time, but by how deeply it protects and heals. The purest bonds are the ones the world can't explain, yet everyone can feel, and sometimes the smallest gestures, like a kiss on a puppy's head, can change the world.